If you've always dreamt of being the business owner that owns the successful business, that is supported, that has mentors, I want you to know that your business dreams deserve support. And YouthX by Nedbank is here to unlock your X. The YouthX by Nedbank Awards 2025 are officially open for entry. So if you are between the ages of 18 to 26 and you have an idea, a side hustle, or a current existing business, and you have a Nedbank My Goals or any other Nedbank qualifying bank account, you actually stand a chance to winning 200,000 Rand worth of funding. And not only that, because money, yes, does solve problems, but mentorship is at the core of actually helping you be more successful, because you basically get to jump over to not making the mistakes that a lot of small business owners make, especially when they don't have funding, or even more when they have the money. So enter your business into the YouthX by Nedbank Awards 2025. We have provided the link below and we cannot wait to see you win. They are committing to giving you a curated lifestyle experience from Nedbank and the chance to take your business idea to the next level. Nedbank is banking on your excellence to change the world. So show them what you've got. Entries close on the 31st of August 2025, so you better hurry. Think of people like your Mother Teresa. Think of people who've been known for being noble and for having served. Think of, oh my God, I don't want to train for the wrong reasons. I don't want people to nitpick everything that I say. I don't want people to then say bad things about the things that I'm doing. So visibility almost has to be a fruit of servitude. There's a saying that says Rome was not built in one day. And it goes back to some of the points that we've mentioned. Number one, there's a principle that I saw that I thought, oh my gosh, this is just one of those principles I think are so fundamental to us understanding the value of brand building, and it's called the bamboo tree principle. It basically says, that's why I don't think faking till you're making it is a thing. I think that you can faith it until you make it, but hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and the biggest sales and entrepreneurship podcast in the whole wide world. Have you ever wondered, what does it take to actually build a brand that sells? Today, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be taking you through some of the things that I've done and some of the most successful people that I know and some of the successful people that I study, what they do to be able to build a brand that not only converts, but builds networks and builds sustainable success. Now, let's get briefly into why it is important to build a brand that is going to sell and a brand that you're going to be well known for in the correct way. I think it's very important that if you're trying to get into the aligned space, you are building some form of a persona or a brand, rather, we'll actually use the word. You're building a brand that people are going to trust and that people are going to love. And in the day and the digital age of just the idea of a brand coming out there a lot more and people wanting to build a few brands, it's important to realize that you have to do it right to get the trust and the networks that are going to be right for the people that you want to speak to. So let's actually get into it. I drafted 5 points today that we're going to be chatting about, and these points have really helped. And what we're going to also do is get into some practical examples of how you can use them, and also some practical examples that the greatest people that we look up to have used into this point. The first one is the greatest commission of them all, is you serve. This, for me, is one of the most important things that you need to think about every time you build a brand. Every time we talk about building a brand, we're always under the assumption that it's always this thing that people are going to see, but it doesn't always start there. People see who you are and what you're doing. So the question that I want you to ask yourself to this point is, what are you actually doing? And if it's serving as what you are doing, you're on your way to building a very successful and important brand. Selling is very, very important. People buy from people that they trust, so you have to serve. And when you serve, you're able to build trust through service. You're able to just let people know that you're actually there to help them, which is something that you definitely need to do. I mean, think of all the biggest brands that you know and the companies that you know that you really, really loved. They serve because they are solving for a specific problem without even being so salesy about it, or like being say, we want to build a brand for serving. No, serving is their first core value. And by virtue of serving, they have been able to build a brand. So that is very important. That is what you need to start thinking of. That serving is the core of beginning to build a brand. Think of people like your Mother Teresa. Think of people who've been known for being noble and for having served. Think of people like your Nelson Mandela. They were servants and they just really wanted to serve because they had a core message at the core of their hearts that they served. And by virtue of that servitude, they actually built an amazing brand. And this is something you can do for yourself. The second point is be intentional with your growth. You know, every time I reflect around people like your Oprah Winfrey, for instance, that we look up to, these are people that were very intentional with their growth. And by virtue of being intentional with their growth, it exuded in everything that they do and was part of building the brand that they absolutely love to this day. Think of everybody that you admire. You admire them because of their growth. You admire them because of their knowledge. You admire them because they've done something great. It is also part of how they've been intentional in being able to help themselves grow. So what are you doing for yourself to actually help yourself grow? Because I can guarantee you, if you're trying to build a progressive brand, if you're trying to build a brand and a business that is going to be successful and that is going to speak to the hearts of people, growth is going to be a big element of that. If you think about, and I always use Oprah Winfrey in this case as an example, she did a lot of reading, she did a lot of talking to great people and just investing in reaching to the high level of herself or reaching the next level of what she was called to. And I think by virtue of her willingness and her curiosity to grow, her brand was built. And even through her show and even through the things that she does now, she resembles such a great example of helping us being able to grow, which is very, very important. So even if you're in corporate, even if you're a creative, continue to grow, continue to upskill yourself in various areas, because by virtue of that, you begin to know more and you begin to develop more confidence in being able to speak about the thing that you know. You begin to even know how to speak about that thing that you know in various ways that also helps you come out or be perceived as a thought leader, which is very, 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 very important. There's a principle that I saw that I thought, oh my gosh, this is just one of those principles I think are so fundamental to us understanding the value of brand building. And it's called the bamboo tree principle. It basically says that in the first 5 years you water a bamboo tree, nothing will be visible. Nothing, no growth will be visible. You are just watering it for the first 5 years. However, it suddenly shoots up 90 feet in 5 weeks after those 5 years. And this is what personal branding usually is like. If you are coming across my channel right now, you would even go back and see that this channel has existed for over 8 years. I've been taking content for over 8 years, but only in the past 2 years has it only started to take off. And you need to realize that part of continuous growing and continuous learning is that you might do a lot of those things as you start, but the growth will only be visible over time. So this means don't chase virality. Don't chase wanting to be known today. It does take time, but you have to be intentional about continuously growing yourself, continuously growing your community, and continuously growing your skills. So important. Remember the bamboo tree principle. You will water it for the first 5 years and nothing will happen. You will not see any growth, but it will start springing up to 90 feet tall in 5 weeks. That is so powerful. And I want you to remember that every time you feel like, or you're feeling discouraged and you feel like, I've been doing all of this work and nothing is happening. I've been putting myself out there, but I'm not getting the bookings. I'm not getting the gigs. I'm not getting the clients. Just continue being intentional with your growth. People are watching. You will have people that will see you 5 years later and say, I've been following your journey for over the years and you've taught me resilience. You've done this. They might not say this right now because you are still in the building stage, but continue to build. And as you build, things will start aligning. The third point is something I've been screaming about, I think, for most of this year, and it is understand perception management. I always say to people, every time you think about building a brand, you also have to be cautious around the perception that you're building within your market and within people that are having access to the brand, and ideally, the greater universe, the world at large. Because the moment you put something on the internet, you put that thing on the internet and you open up for people to have a specific perception over the things you say and the things that you're doing. Now, I know just by saying that somebody could be nervous and say, oh my God, I don't want to train for the wrong reasons. I don't want people to nitpick everything that I say. I don't want people to then say bad things about the things that I'm doing. But here's what I want you to think about. If you are serving your community, the people, your clients, and you are intentional about growing, and that is also coming out in the way that you serve, you're on your way to understanding and building a perception within your market and within the global landscape that is correct. Remember, perception management is just not putting a persona out there for people to think, because people can see past through those things, but it's about being intentional with the things that you are doing internally that is going to help you. We had a personal branding masterclass at the Sales and Entrepreneurship Summit in March 2025, and one of the things that Nom Nomdidim Daki, and a phenomenal woman whom I really look up to. She said that, and I completely paraphrase, but she spoke about personal branding being a posture of ownership. This video went so viral on TikTok, and I've been talking about this this video throughout the month. But she spoke about the posture of ownership, and I think that ownership has a lot to do with you serving. It has a lot to do with you being intentional with growing. It has a lot to do with you being honest about the things that are not, or that need fixing, or that need adjusting, or that need growth in your life, and you taking action to actually growing those things. Because you know what that means? The moment you stand in that posture of ownership and realizing that this whole life that you're living belongs to you, and you have the agency to make the change and to make the necessary adjustments to get you to where you need to grow, people will begin to see that growth. If you've been somebody that bumps into people and people just like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. You've grown so much. You've been doing X, Y, Z. People are watching. But you must understand that they are watching even the things that you're not doing. They are watching even the lack of intentionality that you're putting into the work that you're doing. They are watching every aspect of who you are. And no matter how much you try to fake it, that's why I don't think faking till you're making it is a thing. I think that you can faith it until you make it, but faith without works is absolutely dead. So it's important that you actually put in the right work within the faith that you're gunning for, which is very, very important. Think about, when you also think about perception management, think about people like Steve Jobs. These are people that built amazing companies, but they built them, yes, with the right perception in the market. But that perception was based on the fact that they were willing to do the work, was based on the fact that they upheld a standard of excellence. They upheld a standard of groundbreaking technology, of wanting to be different. And then that's how we perceived them. So people usually will perceive you in a way that you truly are. People will not perceive you. It's rare that people perceive you based on like, they hate you and they don't like you. Not everybody in this world is going to like you, but also not everybody is going to hate you. So it's very important. Another thing that from the summits that we also got was Nomdidim Daki got us to do an exercise, and it was to ask a couple of people in our lives what they think of us, to describe us in, I think, 3 to 5 words, if I'm not mistaken. And then actually seeing those words and say, do I identify with these words? Because sometimes we have this, and she literally said this at the summit, she says, we have this idea of who we think we are, but people in our lives are experiencing us differently because they are actually seeing how we are actually showing up. So there's a disconnect between who we truly think we are based on the actions that we're doing every day, and also how we are showing up to the people around us. And part of building personal branding is letting those two marry each other, and you embodying the version of yourself that you think you are, that you want to be, but being intentional. So understand that perception management is not about building a perception. It's not about, a couple goals. It's truly about the core of what exists within each and every single person, within the business that you're building, within the intention of why you're doing what you're doing. People know when you're selling that you just want the quick buck. You're just doing this discount because you want to sell. And they truly know when you're actually selling the value and you're selling something that is important. I think we all have been graced with what some people will call the sixth sense, but I would even call the Holy Spirit. We've all been graced with that idea or that ability to almost discern intentions, and discern just by looking at somebody. That's why they say your first 5 minutes whenever you talk to, or 5 seconds whenever you talk to somebody, they can actually start having a perception of who they are, because we've got that discernment. We can tell, is this person confident or not confident? Are they lying or are they telling the truth? Are they winging it or are they really being intentional? We can tell. And the best way to build something sustainable is just start internally and understand that you are building a perception with everything that you are doing. The fourth point is be patient. There's a saying that says Rome was not built in one day. And it goes back to some of the points that we've mentioned. Number 1, you serve. Number 2, you become intentional with your growth. Number 3, you understand perception management. And then number 4, you become patient. Brands were not built overnight. And that's something you always have to remember. People that you look up to and that you like, even if you just found them now because they recently went viral, I can guarantee you they've been doing whatever they're doing, even if it was at a smaller scale, for so many years, and you've only just discovered them now. And the same thing is for you. But what stops a lot of people is patience, because you think, why is this thing not working? I started this YouTube channel. Why did I not reach 10,000 subscribers? It took, I think we only reached 10,000 subscribers about 2.5 years ago. And now we're on our way to 40,000 subscribers because success is compounding, but it has to take patience for it to be compounding. It's like investing in anything. If you're going to invest in a digital asset, for instance, YouTube or a public platform, and building a brand as a digital asset, it is important that you realize that it's going to take you some years to build that thing. And let me tell you, when you're patient with yourself, you will not be desperate for opportunities. You will not undercut yourself or get yourself into situations, conversations, and partnerships that are going to be to the detriment of your brand. But you will know that what I'm building might only take off in 2 years. Thank God if it takes off this year, but it might only take off in year 5. But I'm patient enough to stick through to the process because I understand the value of what I'm building. And also patience, I think, is also understanding that what you're building right now is also going to grow you as a person. That when you start the business, maybe this version of you might not be cut out for being publicly out there or for understanding or for being comfortable with public scrutiny. So you have to grow over years so the skill can get better. So if you're speaking in front of a camera and you maybe like get nervous in the beginning, maybe in year 5 you might be much better. In year 5, as you are intentionally growing, like we mentioned, you'll become much better, and then it'll be easier for you to be exposed to the right stage and the right people because you would have worked through the muscle. So it's important. Imagine if you went to the gym today and you came back with a six-pack. Would it really be worth it? But what really makes it worth it is the everyday, the grind, the muscle pulling, the pain, the uncomfortability, the growth, the challenging mindset that you have to sit under for you to be able to grow. So please be patient. Every single big company that was built was really built over years. And if you look at some of the greatest companies that we enjoy, and I'm talking Apple, I'm talking Amazon, I'm talking Nando's, these are companies that were founded years ago. These are companies that some are 100, some are 50, some are 40, some are 30 years old, because it takes patience to build something that is extraordinary. That's why sometimes we like only taking advice from couples who've been together for years, because you understand that there's something about time that teaches you so many lessons, that teaches you even just patience as a virtue to hold on to in anything that you're building. So it's very, very important. And it's also important to understand, lastly, to this point, that farmers don't plant seeds and expect the harvest the next day. You know, a farmer will plant seeds, but they have to water them. And remember the bamboo principle: you plant and you water and you water. And sometimes we don't know how long in our lives, because of some things, how much or how long the watering phase is going to be. But what we know and what we are very guaranteed with is that the plant will come out. The tree will come out, but we have to keep watering. We can't stop because we don't see it yet. And sometimes growth happens in the moments we don't see. And only when you come out, those are the fruits. But the tree must be standing strong, because the root must be strong enough to uphold the tree so that the fruits may be enjoyed. So visibility almost has to be a fruit of servitude, of growth intentionally, and understanding perception management, and then now sitting in the patience of how we water. So patience is basically what I would refer to the Bible as, there's a scripture. It says, those who wait upon the Lord shall mount up like eagles. You understand that there is virtue, and there's also lessons, and there's also growth in the waiting season. But you have to wait while you continue to do the work. 5th point is stay consistent. We talk about this so often. You know, we have been so blessed with our podcast taking off and really getting in the eyes of, the right people who have the right buying power. We've been partnering with a lot of amazing brands. And one of the things that I really want to really iterate to this point, which I really think has been a big fundamental key to this podcast really taking off, inclusive of the grace of God over our lives and over our business, has been our ability to be consistent. You know, we didn't do 3 episodes and then stopped posting. We didn't do like 5 episodes and stopped posting, but we've always been consistent with curating conversations and bringing content that is going to uplift people. And I think that has been a big catalyst in our growth. Consistency builds trust. Consistency lets people know that I will always be here. Consistency lets people know that we are, or ideally builds the perception that we are walking through this journey together. And you have to think about that for yourself. And that's where I think, patience comes in, because when you're patient, you actually are able to be consistent, because you know, and you don't get easily distracted when the numbers are not coming in, when people are not, sharing, or you're not going viral, or the sales aren't coming in, but you continuously become consistent all the time. And I know every time we talk about content, we talk about success, we say, yeah, consistency is key. And it is true. It is true, you guys. Consistency is key. You just have to keep doing the very same thing. And the other thing to also realize when we talk about building a brand that sells is that consistency creates almost like a familiarity when it comes to your brand, which is very, very important. And familiarity will drive buying decisions. This is an important note because consistency builds repetition, right? Think about all the amazing television shows that we used to watch, like Generations on SABC1, if you're in South Africa. This is a show that we watched every single day growing up at 8 o'clock. There are certain shows that we watched at a specific time. And that's why we will always be bringing out the Resonate podcast from the moment we started every single Monday at 6 p.m. because we understand the importance of consistency, but consistency in a way that builds some form of a repetition to build community, to build familiarity, to build relatability, where we've got our community members who will always say, we've got, they've set up their alarms and they say we are ready. We even get to a point where we call the Resonate podcast like dinner time because we know we're going to be eating, but we're going to be eating amazing nuggets. So this is something you always have to remember. Once again, think about the amazing companies we look up to. What is the thing that they really got right? It was consistency. It was the very thing that brought them in the eyes of the right people that were willing to listen. So consistency is absolutely key. So a bit of a recap, right? We spoke about the 5 key branding lessons that are going to help you sell, build a network, and also create and build a sustainable business that resonates. Number 1, we spoke about serving. And then number 2, we spoke about intentionally growing yourself. Number 3 was understanding perception management. Number 4 is being patient. And number 5, being consistent. I really hope that these nuggets are something that you're going to take to yourself and actually start using practically in your life. And wherever you are right now, in your life, in your business, in your journey, just understanding that you are going to get there. You are going to eventually manifest that which you are trusting and that which I believe the Lord has already shown you. But you must have staying power. You must be doing the work while you have staying power. And you must be patient, because if you're patient and if you wait on the Lord, you will eventually mount up like an eagle. And if you are somebody who is of faith and truly believe in the word of God and what he, builds and what he gives us in our lives, I fully believe that that word will be true for you because it's been true for me and it will be true for all of us. So thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. It was absolutely fruitful. And we hope to see you guys in our next podcast episode. If you loved it, let me know in the comment section which point really spoke to you the most. And if you are watching this and are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button. It is absolutely free on YouTube, and follow and also subscribe to us on our audio platforms. It really helps us grow our community, but most importantly, get you the guests that you really want to see on this platform, because when you subscribe, you're basically saying that you are committed to being part of these conversations, to being part of listening to every information and every resource and everything that we put out there, because you absolutely love the work that we do. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys on our next podcast episode. Goodbye.